Hi 8am. This week we are going to concentrate on chemical energy. Now remember that chemical energy is one of the 9 types of energy that we learnt about last week. Now it's important to remember that all the food that we eat contains a store of chemical energy. And all the food that we buy will have a food label somewhere on its packaging. Now, if we want to get a measure of the amount of energy in food, we'll find it on that label and we'll have to look carefully. But you can see here that the energy in this candy bar is labelled in calories. So in one serving, which is 1 bar, this candy bar contains 360 calories of energy. Now, we need energy in our food because we need it to keep our bodies warm, we need it to help us move about, and we need energy from our food to allow us to grow. Now, different will need different amounts of energy. If we consider the 2 pictures here, we've got an old man and we've got a young boy. Now, I want you to ask yourself, out of these 2 pictures, who will need the most energy? And we've got to think about who's the most active, who's still growing, who will need to eat food in their diet that gives them this amount of energy. Now, I'm hoping it's obvious to you that that would be the young boy. For the reasons that I've just said, he's still growing and he's more likely to be much more active than the older man. Now, if we think of the next 2 pictures, again, ask yourself the question, who do you think needs more energy? Would it be a footballer like Wayne Rooney or a checkout lady like you can see in the picture? Now, we've got to think a bit about their lifestyle. Wayne Rooney will be out training for his football. He'll probably be playing matches quite often. The checkout lady will probably not be as active as the footballer. So therefore, Wayne Rooney will need to make sure that he has enough energy in his diet. Now, we need to realise that if we eat too much energy in our diet and our body doesn't need all this energy, well, that extra energy gets stored away as fat. So it's important to pick foods in our diet that give us the energy that we need, but not too much of this energy. Now, what I'd like you to do now is pause the video, take a new page in your notes. You can see that I've taken the date and the title, and I'd like you to copy in these couple of sentences about this chemical energy. Now, what we would like to do if we were in school is we would like to do a practical, we'd like to get out Bunsen's, and we would like to burn some food to find out the energy in the food. So if you look at the picture on my screen, you can see that we have got a boiling tube and it's clamped. The boiling tube has had some water poured into it and we've got food burning below this boiling tube of water. Now, when food burns, it releases chemical energy that's stored in the food in the form of heat. If the food is burned under a test tube or boiling tube containing water, this chemical energy is transferred to heat energy and the water heats up. Now, the hotter the water gets, the more energy there is in that food. Now, we clearly can't do the practical because we're not in school, but Mrs. Cummings has very kindly made a little video in one of our school labs for you to watch and for you to fill in the results. Now, what we're going to do now, just below where you were writing, is we're going to take another title for this little investigation that I have just talked about. So we are going to investigate which crisps contain the most chemical energy. And we're going to burn 4 types of crisp. We're going to hold the burning crisps below the water, just like the diagram that I've just showed you. And we're going to see which crisp releases the most heat energy to heat up the water the most. Now, the 4 types of crisp that we are going to do are cheese puffs, and I'm going to write them on my screen just now, but you don't need to write it just yet. So I want you to think, well, cheese puffs or bacon rashers or space raiders or Snack Jacks contain the most energy? Now we will see from Mrs. Cummings Practical which crisp releases the most heat energy, but for now I want you to take another little subtitle prediction, and I want you to decide which one of these four you think contains the most chemical energy. And I'd like you to copy out the sentence, and I want you to pop in which one you think. So I predict, you choose, will contain the most stored chemical energy. Now down below that, we're going to take another subtitle for results, like you can see on my screen, and we are pencil and a ruler, a results table. Now you can see we've got a column for the name of food, and this is our opportunity to write these four types of crisp in. So we're going to pop into the first row the cheese puffs, the bacon rashers, the Space Raiders, and the Snack Jacks. Now once you get the table copied into your notes, you're going to watch Angie's video. Angie's going to call out the temperature of the water before she starts to burn the crisp. Then she's going to call out the temperature of the water after the crisp has all burned, and then you're going to work out the temperature change. Now I'm hoping that you're thinking to work out the temperature change, we are going to take the temperature of the water before away from the temperature of the water after. And when we get our four temperature changes, we're going to look for the biggest one. The one with the biggest temperature change is the type of crisp that has released the most heat energy, and therefore that was the type of crisp that had the most stored chemical energy. We're going to finish off our notes then by writing a sentence or two to sum this up. So your last sentence should be a little summary of what you have found out from the experiment.